Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year once again. Fall, autumn, Halloween time. A time for tricks, treats, goblins, and freaks. A time for charity and giving and goodwill towards men.
But not women, fuck them.
I'm just messing around, I don't actually mean that. Though it is weird to think that the old saying for Christmas was charity and goodwill towards men. Times have definitely changed. In fact, I should be praising women because we're going back to my review/analysis of The Babadook, directed and written by Jennifer Kent, which is a fantastic movie. I can still feel you guys judging me, though. You guys probably think I'm sexist, don't you? Well, here we go. Time to prove you wrong. American Psycho is one of my favorite movies of all time, not only because it's a good story, but because Mary Herron directed it, and she's not only a woman, she's also a feminist, and feminists panned the book for its violence towards women and claiming that it's sexist, and I like the irony of that. So yeah, I'm not sexist. You happy? It sucks that nowadays every joke you say is met with hostility. Anyway, last year we talked about Jennifer Kent and how she's a great director and her short film Monster, and we also talked a little bit about the characters and how the actors portrayed them, but now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. Number 3, the book. Where'd the book come from? Who wrote it? Who knows? It's just there. And that is bone-chilling. In terms of props, behind the scenes, and filmmaking in general, the pop-up book is actually a beautiful work of art. Although the special Blu-ray does come with a pop-up page, I heard that they were actually going to release copies of the pop-up book for fans as a collector's item. And I definitely get that. When I have kids, I'll probably read it to them to scare the fuck out of them. Because I'm a dick. The design of the book is of course creepy and disturbing, but it also has that childlike wonder to it, if you catch my drift. It's like if Tim Burton designed those scary stories to tell in the dark books. Yeah, you remember those, don't you? The artwork scared the shit out of you, didn't it? Me too. It also reminds me of Coraline a little bit. Oh god, there's nothing freakier than buttons for eyes. Get it off screen! Get it off! The pop-up book is so central to the film's plot because it only feeds into Samuel's monster obsession, making him think he sees the Babadook. And one of the most frightening scenes in the movie, and the scene that frightened me the most, involves the pop-up book. No matter who I showed this scene to, their jaws hit the floor like mine did the first time I saw it. It chilled me to the core. Remember how I asked who wrote it and where did it come from, and how it's never answered, and then that's bone-chilling? Well, yeah, she tears apart the book and burns it, and it comes back. How? We never get an answer, and that is so spooky. Even the way it's directed is scary, how it focuses on the pop-up characters as if they're real people having an intense fight scene. It's scary. It freaks me out. I know I probably sound like a pussy, but it's just executed so well. And that's the word of the day, execution. We'll get to that later. Number 4, the Babadook. Although you don't see the monster much, and when you do, it's usually in shadows, when you actually do see the whole thing, it's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. James Rolfe described the look of the monster best. He said that it was pretty much Cabinet of Dr. Caligari meets Marilyn Manson. And he wasn't far off with that. Jennifer Kent did draw inspiration from silent film characters, including The Man Who Laughs, who was the inspiration for the Joker, and Lon Chaney in London After Midnight, one of those lost horror films. Hopefully we find a print of it one day, because it would be amazing to see such a historic film. And is it just me, or does the monster's voice kinda sound like a mixture between Emperor Palpatine and Bela Lugosi? I don't know, you tell me. It really sounds like Emperor Palpatine trying to do a Dracula impression. It could be just me, but it really does sound like Ian McDermott as the Emperor trying to put on a Hungarian accent. The thing also reminds me of a cicada, because whether it's climbing on the walls or just creeping around the house, it always has this sort of rattle to it, and it's really unnerving. The monster does bring us to one of the flaws of the movie, sadly. Number 5, titles and advertisements. With a movie called The Babadook, and a trailer that showed it off like it was supposed to be your typical monster movie, you'd expect to see the monster a lot, but you don't. It would have been smart not to call this movie The Babadook for a couple of reasons. One reason is because the Babadook is just one character in a larger story. Sure, he plays a part in the story, but really, he's more of a representation of something that I'll get into later. The real meat and potatoes of the story is between Amelia and Samuel. Calling this movie The Babadook is like calling Star Wars Darth Vader. He's not the main point, he's just one character in a larger story. Oh wait, I guess that's not true. I guess he's Space Jesus now. Anyway, another reason why this movie shouldn't have been called The Babadook is because nobody would take that name seriously. I mean, whenever I mentioned it to somebody, people are like, what's the Babadook? I'm sure Sinister wouldn't have been taken as seriously if it was named Bagul. Although, I personally kinda respect it for not calling it anything else. It shows balls. But I'm looking on from an outsider, almost corporate view of how to sell a movie right now, and I'm sorry, people will not take the name Babadook seriously. I hate the way film corporations work too sometimes, but it's true. In the context of the movie, the Babadook works, but you're not going to get people to see the movie with such a silly title. Unless they're sick horror fans like me. But once again, I'm going from an outsider's view. I personally love the movie. We're almost done with this review, and hopefully it'll take more than a year for me to get the next part out. I hope to get it out this year, actually. And we'll talk more about the stuff that I sort of hinted at before when I said I'll get to that later, or something that I'll talk about later. So stay tuned for that, because October is young and Halloween is coming, and I got Babadook fever, baby. Hopefully we wrap it up with the next part. FTV signing off.